Hi, this is Christina Warren, Senior Tech Analyst at Mashable, and for the last 12 days, I have been living with Lumia. So today is Monday, November 26th, 2012, and I've actually been back on my iPhone since Saturday night. My original 10-day experiment was supposed to end on Thursday, which was Thanksgiving, but I decided to go ahead and continue it through Friday and most of Saturday. So I'm now actually back using my iPhone 5, but I've still got my Lumia 920 around. Nice red color. So I kind of wanted to share some of my concluding thoughts with the experiment and explain a little bit about why I'm back on the iPhone and some of the best parts of Windows Phone and some of the parts where I feel like maybe the platform needs to grow a little bit more. So, fundamentally, I was never really, I didn't think that I would ever really switch, full time. I actually ended a contract with AT&T. I paid an ETF to go to Verizon for my iPhone 5. The 920 is a Windows, is a AT&T only device, and I've only been in this contract for like a month, so that wasn't really something that I was going to do after paying an ETF. I also review apps. I'm a tech analyst. It's one of those things. So getting rid of the iPhone and going away from iOS wasn't really feasible. Having said that, I do see myself actually continuing to carry the 920 around, and I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. First, I actually really like the glance and go method of the OS a lot better. I find that works a lot better for my kind of looking and seeing when I have new emails, looking and seeing when I have new messages and notifications, calendar appointments, etc. I like that a lot better on this phone, and I like the camera a fair bit, especially in low light. I don't love it because I think that the user interface on the camera software needs some significant work, but I like it a lot better. But frankly, I think that the bigger reason is that it's been a long time since I've really found a platform that I've been interested in kind of following the evolution of the application developer story. I've been covering and using Android since October 26th, I think it was, or 22nd, 2008, when the G1 was released on T-Mobile. I was in line and I got one. And I've written and reviewed a device running every single version of Android in that time. And I followed the App Store pretty closely, but to be honest, I've never really fallen in love with the platform or the apps. And I still think in terms of the overall application quality, iOS is a lot better. But I really like some of the UI motifs, and I like a lot of the potential that Windows Phone has. And so I'm interested in seeing that progress. I'm interested in seeing how the app situation improves and seeing what happens as more people are on the platform. I think Nokia said that they sold something like 2.5 million Lumias in the last couple of weeks, and that's huge. That's more phones than they've sold in a long time, as at least of Windows Phone 8 variety or Windows Phone variety, and that's going to bring a lot of new users to the platform. So I'm interested in following that story and seeing how that continues. I have to say, since being back on the iPhone, it is a little bit weird going back to kind of the home screen experience versus what this is. At the lock screen, you see your notifications, and it's nice because you can just swipe and immediately go to a notification, but it's not as nice because you can't just see when your appointments are or see other incoming data. And the grid home screen, I have to say, it's a little bit stale to me right now. I never really was in love with a widgetized kind of home screen on Android. It could be nice, but I never really loved it. But the way that you can lay out and customize Windows Phone has been one of those things that I've really enjoyed using, and I really like that experience. And I think that Apple fundamentally is going to have to make some changes and modernize this a little bit. I still think that this grid motif, I think it works really well on an iPad or an iPad mini. But on the phone, I need more, and I was reminded how much I like having that glanceable information and how much I like the lock screen even. The lock screen on Windows Phone, you just kind of glance at it and it shows you, when you have your next edit meetings and how many, email notifications you have and other stuff all on the lock screen, and it's a really nice experience versus just having the notifications that have come in on the iPhone. I mean, it's great you can access your camera, but other than that, that's it. So I really like the look to the future that the Windows Phone has, and I think that Apple really needs to pay attention to. I have to say, one of the main reasons that I would be hesitant to switch if I were not a tech analyst and if I weren't someone who reviewed apps, I would be hesitant to switch away from the iPhone to Windows Phone, would be that there are a couple of core apps that just aren't there. Hulu Plus is a big one. The biggest one, obviously, for me is Instagram. And that lack of kind of widespread support is, I think, going to hinder development and adoption of the platform by people that would probably really like it, because I think that this is an ideal platform for people who are willing to tinker a little bit, although it doesn't have as much of that as Android, but really for people who just want to get their information delivered to them and they want to handle things in an easy and a seamless way, similar to what the iPhone does, but a little bit cleaner, a little bit neater, and maybe not as tied into Apple's ecosystem for people who don't want that. And to do that, it's going to be essential that they have some of those core consumer apps, which include Instagram. And it's getting better, but until they have that sort of experience parity, I don't know if they can get the mass adoption sort of stuff. I do think that Instagram is a big reason why I would not be able to give this up, because I use Instagram for a lot of things. I also think that, and as I discussed in my last video, I think that the app situation is, there are a lot of really good apps on Windows Phone, but the apps need to get better. They need to get substantially better, and they need to get better in the sense that they're no longer just ports of iOS or Android apps, but they're created specifically for the new UI. And I think that when that happens, assuming that Microsoft has a ton of time and a ton of money, and they're willing to invest in this, that I think that moving forward can be really good. I think the good news, and probably the biggest takeaway I have from this experience, is that Microsoft has done a better job than Apple and Google, and this surprises me, in being platform agnostic. Yes, it is very integrated in with Microsoft's cloud system, and yes, if you use Outlook.com, if you use Windows 7 or Windows 8, if you use SkyDrive, if you use Office 365 and all that stuff, yes, an Xbox, yes, obviously it's going to integrate into your workflow much more seamlessly than anything else. However, even if you don't use those things, if you just use piecemeal, if you have an Xbox but you use a Mac, you use Gmail and not Outlook, you use Google Docs or iWork or whatever, rather than some of the other things. The fact that other than Dropbox, which they're coming for Windows 8, I hope they come to Windows Phone, and Instagram and a couple of other services, it's really easy to access anything. And the nice thing about this is that it integrates very, very well with Google's ecosystem. It integrates well with an Exchange ecosystem. Basically anything that uses ActiveSync in any way will work really well with this. And you can't say that for the other platforms. Google's native email experience is best if you're using Gmail. The actual email app that ships on Android is pretty terrible. Whereas this is the same, whether you're using an Outlook account or a Gmail account. Apple doesn't have things like like native push for Gmail for whatever reason, and they still don't respect certain flags, and it's the mail app is better, but it's not as full featured. You can't do things like search a ActiveSync contact directory or Google a sync contact directory, and that's the sort of stuff that I think kind of sets this apart. And so the biggest takeaway I have is that even if you're a Mac user, even if you're somebody who's not totally ingrained in Windows ecosystem, you can still really use this. This is a good phone. If you're looking for an alternative, it's been really cheap. Black Friday, I think they've still got some Cyber Monday deals. This is a good phone. It's a big phone, but it's a good phone, and I would look forward to maybe trying or playing around with some of the smaller handsets from HTC or even from Nokia, because that might fit my personal style a little bit better. But all in all, I have to say that the experience was a lot better and was a lot more seamless than I expected it to be, and I'm impressed to see where some of the app developers are going, and I feel like I have a much better kind of broader bird's eye view of the mobile ecosystem, but from the place of somebody using this full time and not just having this alongside my daily driver, as I do in most review situations. So I look forward to seeing how this develops, and I hope that the platform will continue to grow, because I think it's important that we have competition, because that's what makes everything better fundamentally. I don't see myself not being a Mac user or an iPhone user, but I would like to see benefits of this getting better because of the stuff that this has introduced, and that's another reason I'm going to be carrying this around. So, continue to follow our stories. Let us know what you think in the comments. This was kind of a new video format for us and a new sort of series. Let us know what you think, so that if you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, we're not going to do this with every phone, obviously, or every gadget that we get in, but we'd like to do more of this. We'd love to have your feedback about what you think about this stuff, because I think it was a fun thing to do, to kind of use this like a real swisher. So, for Mashable, I'm Christina Warren. Take care.